but it seems like they don't have a long-term plan. They don't have a succession plan. They don't even have any idea about style. Because as much as people want Conte or Ten Hag, they're fundamentally different managers in terms of style of play.
Yeah.
What do you think about Solskjaer's future?
Well, if most reliable journalists are to be believed, it's make or break, isn't it? He can't lose any more matches. So I don't know. It's a little bit confusing, really, because if anything, regardless of whether you want Solskjaer to stay or go, the way that it's been handled shows how inept the board are anyway. Like, so if you're going to fire a manager, you should fire a manager. You shouldn't, you don't go, we're going to get rid of him, but he's got 3 games, and if he wins these 3 games, then we'll just prolong it, because
it's very Britain's Got Talent, isn't it? It's very like a game show.
If he wins the next 3 matches,
Squid Games.
yeah. If he wins the next 3 matches and goes into the international break still in the job, then there might be another terrible run of form after the international break. Like, if you either back your manager and say this is the guy that we're going to stick with, and you come out publicly and say it, or you don't think he's the guy that you're going to stick with and you get rid of him. Like, I don't understand why you have to keep pinning it on make or break games or any, like, doesn't make, if anything, it just highlights the type of shoddy structure that Solskjaer's got to work with anyway. Samuel Luckhurst from the MEN said that the only reason he hasn't been sacked is because there's no succession plan, because they put all their eggs in the basket to keep him in of this long-term identity United DNA type of project thing that they've been talking about. But and now that it's not working, then they're thinking about moving him on. But if you're going to move him on now. Like this idea.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's so muddled up, the thinking. Like, I think that we've had 9 league games, right? It's not been good. There's no doubt about it. But
no,
either have a long-term plan or don't. If you have a long-term plan, then you don't react after 9 games. Also, I think people forget historically that in Fergie's full season, he finished second. In the second season, he finished 13th. In the third season, he finished 11th. So actually, to weed out the old regime's players takes a longer time than sort of 3 years. Also, United on Sunday night could be well and truly sat in 4th position, because Tottenham are a place above us, and you've got West Ham and Brighton, and West Ham are sat in 4th place, but they play Villa away, and Brighton play Liverpool away. So feasibly, West Ham and Brighton could both lose, and if United beat Spurs, United is sat in 4th.
Yeah.
So it's
there's
crazy.
There's also that if in the next 2 games, if Solskjaer manages to beat Spurs and then City, if City drop any points this weekend and then lose to United, there'll be like 2 or 3 points difference next week between United and City.
Yeah, so like it's really crazy. So like United win the next 2 games, and I'm not saying that they're easy games, and I'm not saying that they will. They're both away games. Atalanta away will be hard, but if you're on either 7 or 9 points in the Champions League group, having Young Boys at home, like, you take 7 points now, it means you've got to beat Young Boys at home, and if you lose away to Villarreal, you've got 10 points. You basically should qualify. So if you get any type of positive result away to Atalanta and you beat Spurs, you could go into the City game 1 foot out of the Champions League group and sat in 4th. And it seems to me, like, I'm not saying the performances have been good or in any stretch of the imagination, but it seems like they don't have a long-term plan. They don't have a succession plan. They don't even have any idea about style, because as much as people want Conte or Ten Hag, they're fundamentally different managers in terms of style of play.
Yeah, you couldn't be more different than
those.
No,
like, you really couldn't. So like Ollie basically, as you touched upon in the last podcast, wants to have like a hard working pressing team. And that hasn't transpired in these sort of first sort of 12, 14 games. But Ten Hag, there's no chance that Fred and McTominay can play in a Ten Hag team. There's no chance. He has to buy 2 or 3 more midfielders. There's very little chance that Aaron Wan-Bissaka can play in that team.
But one thing that's happened this week is people have been carried away with this. I mean, United's tactics this season have been shocking. But there's been this narrative that it's rewritten the whole history of Solskjaer's tenure at Manchester United as this guy who doesn't have any tactical ability. But anything that if you wanted to be realistic and not get carried away with Twitter narratives, Solskjaer's style and tactics at United is one of being a little bit flexible and working with average subpar players within a rigid style to get results. That's something that in his interim period he was doing. He wanted to play the 4-3-3 with Pogba finding Rashford and runners in behind. In his second season, he didn't have Lukaku. He lost Herrera in midfield. Pogba got injured in October for the rest of the season, and he had to. I think Matic was injured as well, so he had to find a system, and it ended up being this 4-2-3-1 with Fred and McTominay with no creativity, but a solidity in midfield to sit in front of the defense, and then have Martial playing deep with Rashford and Daniel James running ahead of him, and that got really good results. He beat City away. He had but then. The problem with that is when there's no space in behind, like when you're playing a defensive low block team, you struggle. So then Bruno came in, and then Bruno offers that, and then a season after last season, United was still struggling because they didn't replace Romelu Lukaku. They had Igalo on loan, who's is far from world class. Cavani came in, but Cavani